Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
With the big, bold flavour of HP sauce, making breakfast legendary.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and this morning we have Steve Hall with us. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Morning, Jim. Morning, Peter.
Morning, Richie. Good morning.
So, can I say, before we go any further, I loved this job.
You loved it? Yeah. Why are you using the past tense?
No, yes, I meant to say love, but I did say loved. That's interesting.
Oh, that's the kind of thing that wouldn't be a big deal at all in a relationship.
I wonder if I'm being channeled by my agent. Anyway, so, I love this job. And this morning I realised, I think, the specialness of the world that we operate in. When I heard someone say, in a very throwaway manner, "Oh no, Mike Reed's turned the toaster up." And I thought, I'm so happy that is the world I now operate in. Where Mike Reed's a sort of domestic figure who does stuff like turn the toaster up.
Well, it is sort of like he's our flatmate.
Yeah, it is. It's like we're this gang, like the Monkeys.
Yes.
Yeah, we all live together. That sort of absolute
Baxby Davy. I'm the Davy figure, I think.
Because maybe you don't know, you readers, but we're not. It's not just Absolute in the Golden Square building. It's who else we got? We got Magic.
We got Magic. We got Kiss FM. Sarah.
We got Pig Iron. We got all Pig Iron.
I'm not sure how well that station does these days.
Pig Iron FM.
What are the radars on Pig Iron FM?
I don't know. I'd listen to Pig Iron. What kind of stuff would they play? Heavy metal.
Imagine Frank's agent having to humour him when he suggests that idea.
Yeah, no, I think we can put. I'm hoping you'll put $1 million in yourself.
It could replace BBC Three.
Pig Iron FM. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of media, I'm a very late adopter on Postman Pat.
It's late.
Yeah, I mean, how long's Postman Pat been operational? Would you
Longer
say?
than us. I would say since the 80s. I see him as quite an 80s figure.
That long?
Yeah. Although, can I say the hair? A bit McCartney aubergine. Postman Pat.
With
he needs a trim.
With a frisson of Arthur Scargill, I would say. Did I ever tell you when I had someone during the miners' strike, there was a bloke criticising Arthur Scargill on the news. In case you don't know, Arthur Scargill was the leader of the miners' union. And he said, and as for Mr. Arthur so-called Scargill, and I thought, no, that he's called that. That's not. What do you mean by that? So anyway, I've only this last week discovered the spin-off series. Are you aware of this?
Arthur Scargill?
Postman Pat Special Delivery Service.
I thought that was on rather late at night. If you know what I mean?
No.
Is this that's a real thing?
It's a real thing, and it's a sort of modern. What they've done, they've thought, the kids. They need a bit. So he's got like a mobile phone and stuff.
Wow.
Oh, he has.
Postman Pat.
Does it reflect that the postal industry is in total chaos?
Oh, well, I think that's what they've thought. They've thought, how much more mileage have we got in post? Because no one sends letters anymore.
Who sends post? Estate agents and MPs. That's it.
That's totally it.
That's your lot.
Oh, I had some good posts today from Becky. From.
Oh yeah.
From the English Cricket Association. Not that that's what they're called, but you know what I mean. And she sent me a beautiful book on the history of county cricket, the sort of book you want to wallow in.
So we've gone a bit Postman Pat special delivery.
Yeah, special delivery from the ECB. It's a bit short pitched. It was actually just caught me in the chest cavity. Anyway, so I watched Postman Pat. The whole thing's cut a bit faster. This lovely thing about Postman Pat is this special Yorkshire world he lives in. Yeah. There's a bloke called Ted in it, who's obviously voiced by the same actor. I don't know how many voices he does, but he says, "How are you, Ted? You all right?" "I am all right, Pat. How are you?" Your voice is not dissimilar to mine, is it, Ted? "No, it's a little bit deeper, is all, but it is similar." "Yes, why is that?" "You know why, Pat. Move on. Move on, please." Anyway, I love all that. I love its weird, odd, nog-in-the-nog, strange worldness. And now suddenly, well, I say suddenly, it probably happened about 10 years ago, but I just found out.
In the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, it's gone a bit whiz-kid. I'll give you more details in a minute, but it shook me.
Stay tuned for those Pat updates.
It's like when Scooby-Doo started talking.
Oh, yeah.
Or was it Scrappy? Was it Scrappy that started talking? Come on, back me up, Steve.
Scrappy definitely started.
Oh, Steve. We only get him on for his facts.
Frank!
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
So, yes, so... You know, when something happens on telly, I should write a book about these milestones in television history when you think something goes really right or really wrong. Like when news readers started standing up.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought that was a mistake. It attracted people.
Why didn't you like that, Frank?
I think it mainly attracted people who were good looking from the waist up. The news, for that obvious reason.
Yeah.
And then they were all exposed. All the short men, all the, women with cankles. all
How very modern of you.
It was like when the talkies came in.
Yeah, like poor Michael Gove was always interviewed, sitting down, so you didn't see the enormous backside.
He's bootylicious.
Yeah, he's absolutely...
He's one of my people. Don't diss him.
No, but he... Yeah, well, you wear it well, but there's a lot of people...
Thank you very much.
They want to keep it secret. I'm the absolute opposite. I look great from the waist down, with exceptions. But
not when you wear that shorty pyjama top, you don't.
No, but my top half is scrawny and misshapen. What?
I think you're very hard on yourself.
Well, what we need, and this is my new invention, is stable door television.
Oh, yes.
In which you open the door of your choice, which shows you off at your very best. So, like, Michael Gove would be interviewing my legs.
You'd be revealed on the news like a clue on catchphrase.
Yeah. Just never... You don't need the top bit.
Frank, that's such a good idea. Hillary Clinton, waist up always.
Yes, I should think so.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anyone who else, other than me, who would you want from the...
The waist down?
Yeah.
Various footballers, just to see the Teddy Sheringham's thighs.
I think there's a lot of...
Teddy Sheringham's thighs?
I think with a lot of people, the legs are the last things to age.
Really?
That's my view. But I'm thinking of about 400 people now, but I'm not prepared to name any of them. Anyway, Stable Door TV and Pig Iron FM. I'm going to becoming a media mogul. Absolutely marvellous. So poor Postman Pat. They obviously thought, as you said, well, the Post hasn't got much in the way of much to go. Almost as if the programme had been called, say, Public House Ashtray Manufacturer Pat. And they thought this isn't going to last long. So they've made him. He has to carry some special emergency parcel.
Oh, does he? Like next day delivery?
It passes, kids with. Felt hooded tops on, because they're all made of... I think they're all made of felt.
I don't like a felt hoodie.
No, certainly not.
The Postman Pat, he's basically gone late night Hollyoaks.
No,
he doesn't have relationships.
It's all clear. Well, he's married. He's married with a son.
Well, that's never stopped some of these people.
No, but it stops Postman Pat. He's so busy, to be honest.
Hasn't got time to have an affair.
He's still rushed off
I haven't got time, Ted, to have an affair.
One parcel an episode, still no time to breathe. Less time than there ever was. You're in quite a rush, Pat. Ted, your voice... will you leave it? Yeah, so... I still sort of like it. But it has made me think about the Post... in general, and how the way the Post has... Because
Are you sad about that?
Well, it sort of slipped away without me really noticing. It just... when's the last time I wrote a letter? Well, since I've had money, I've stopped.
Frank
Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I'll tell you what, on the Post thing... do you send letters ever, Emily?
No.
Steve?
Not for many years.
No. But why is it that if someone sends you an e-card, it's still considered to be a bit of a slap in the face? An email, absolutely normal. If you get an e-card, you think, don't bother.
I do think that as well. I haven't got the time to download all your gubbins.
I just think that I feel like I've been gobbed on if I get an e-card.
What an e-Christmas card is disgusting.
Oh, but why? We totally accept the demise of the letter and the replacement by the email. Something about the card.
This is
you're
how far
absolutely
we've
right.
come that these days, if I was ever to be poked on Facebook again, that feels a very quaint thing now.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, why doesn't that surprise me?
I don't face the book.
You're still on MySpace.
I am. I used to be on MySpace.
I love the idea of you on MySpace.
There was me and 200 goth girls. That was that was MySpace in those days. But does it still exist?
It does,
I believe so, yeah.
I think by now, if my thing's still open, it probably is MySpace. Everyone else has gone.
Frank,
It's all right, MySpace, if you like a bad photograph.
do you think it would be high maintenance of me to request a cushion at this point? Just because I'm having issues with my Gove.
It's because I've put up...
My Gove's hurting.
I brought the idea of your behind into your mind, otherwise you wouldn't have thought about it. I think if we can get... Do they have a cushion in here?
Could you give me a cushion? Thank you.
Oh, okay.
We can borrow one from Stable Door TV.
Magic FM must have a few cushions, hadn't they? Because they got some quite elderly presenters. And while you're in there, can you get me some mentholyptus lozenges? Halls, maybe, Steve.
Nice.
Is that where the family money came from?
He hasn't got family money.
Hasn't he?
No.
Oh, so you have to dress like that? I thought it was a Spielberg-style eccentricity. Oh, how very... I tell you what I have still got as well, which is
Go on.
annoying, in the age of the diminishing letter
Yes.
arrival. I've still got a very fine... I've never bought anything... Well, I've bought one thing from an antique shop in my whole life.
Oh, yeah.
I went into an antique shop in a small Essex village called Thorpe Le Soken, and I bought a goat's foot letter opener.
This sounds like the worst lie you've ever told.
No, this is
true.
Absolutely true. A goat's foot, and that's the handle. You know,
Oh, yeah.
with the
It sounds like
goat's
the
foot.
beginning of like a film where you swap identities with a 13-year-old and you spend the film trying to swap back to your real bodies.
Is this
It's
a film that
cursed.
I'm supposed to know?
No.
Oh, you just made it up.
Yeah.
Write it down. This could be your moment. No, it's that's what it is. You hold the goat. I always thought as well, if the dog got hit by a car, I might be glad of that.
I love a letter opener, Frank.
Yeah, beautiful. But obviously, I never get a chance to use it anymore.
No.
What made you go for it?
Well, it's got a goat's foot on it. What do you need? I thought it'd be fun when it snowed. I can have fun with the neighbours.
We had a letter
They are
opener.
diabolists, I should point out. No, but I think it's all these unused letter openers lying about, discarded, that has led to the rise in knife crime. That's just a theory. Chew it over.
Skinner, Dean, and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
Excellent news on the seating front. Emily has been tended to.
Oh yes, the cushion has arrived. It's actually an Absolute Radio cushion, and if you'd like to see it, I believe it's on our Twitter feed.
The cushion, that is.
Yes, indeed.
Tastefully shot.
Not my Gove area.
With you holding it in front of your face.
Yeah, I couldn't be
did-
bothered to do my makeup this morning.
Yeah, I did think, though, how many people have sat on that. And then it was right next to your face.
It could have Mike Reed's burnt toast crumbs covered all over it.
Dirty. That was Harry H. Corbett's variation on "you dirty old man" in Steptoe. I remember him just going, dirty. He abbreviated it to the bare bones. Oh, I did like that. Don't leave me, Harold. So,
It's one of your finest impressions.
thanks. Well, it's sort of God is imposing it on me. The Albert Steptoe look. I'll tell you what, you have a little girl, don't you?
I do, yes.
Yes. Now, I don't know if you have this problem. What would you do if you were out in the street? Is she still in nappies?
Yes.
Oh, well. It's all solved. I'm at the stage, see, where Buzz will say to me that he needs to go to the toilet when we're out in the street, and I don't even know if this is legal. I do what my mum
Go
used
on,
to
I'll
do.
tell you.
I go to the gutter with him.
Well, we know that.
Yeah.
I've seen some of your 90s material.
So so he just
Wasn't that one of your box sets? We Go to the Gutter.
shouldn't he? Join me in the gutter. That was the trailer. Frank Skitter joined Skitter. You see, Freud was right. It all means something. So I was actually in Deal.
Oh,
in,
yes.
in Kent.
In Kent, yes.
I couldn't decide whether or not to go. Deal or no deal, I was thinking.
Okay, yes, I understand.
But anyway, I was there and he needed the toilet, so I was standing in the at the gutter with him using it for that purpose. And the bloke put his hand on my shoulder and said, "I just want to say I'm a big fan of your work."
Oh,
I said, to be fair, he's doing most of the aiming. Yeah, but it's always lovely to get a compliment, but it was an interesting context to get
Thank
it.
God he didn't ask for a selfie at that moment.
Well, exactly. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think it would have worked with the amount of steam. I think the lens might have got a bit ghostly. But it is. Is it illegal or is it legal? There used to be a thing.
Well,
about,
I think it depends on age, like so many things.
yeah, if he was 30.
Yeah.
It'd be different, but there used to be a thing that you could, if a man needed to go, he could do something like the rear passenger side wheel of his car.
that
If
a
you
rule?
do it up there, I think it's
Yeah.
legal.
And of
'cause
course
it's
it
on
does,
your property.
and it marks it out as your own.
Yeah, exactly. Stops. That I think cats have almost completely stopped stealing cars.
I believe it's allowed on your own doorstep as well.
I've heard of it.
Yes,
I
that's
have
another
heard.
clause.
Indeed.
My parents would always take me to a flower bed. That was always our family rule.
I think that's all right, because that's helping.
Not when it's the neighbours.
Just one particular flower
Yeah,
bed.
exactly.
And then when it's my 21st.
Yeah, quick, this is another chance. But yeah, I ought to check it out. I don't see other people doing it. That's what's worried me. I think it's because I'm the older parent. I'm one of the few parents alive who still remember it. Perhaps I can bring it back. My next thing is, my dream is to do what my mum used to do. And if he gets a dirty mark on his face, to put my handkerchief over my finger and lick that and wipe it off. Again, you see, people don't carry handkerchiefs anymore. What's happened to the world? Postman Pat, special delivery service, nobody weeing in the gutter. Broken Britain? You said it.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
We've had a tweet. You were asking whether you thought it was acceptable.
Yes. Acceptable.
Yes. to have a widow
To have a widow?
in the street.
Oh, yes, sorry, I think it's acceptable to have a widow.
in the street.
No, I think she should jump on the pyre with you.
Nature's Way, appropriately enough,
Yes.
has tweeted to say it's actually on the rear inside wheel that it's acceptable, but for lorry drivers only.
Oh, I thought black cab drivers as well, at least.
Oh, okay.
So, but only for the driver.
Voice of controversy over
Yeah,
there.
well, that's what I'm thinking. I think people who are a long time in the cab
Yeah.
can use.
Well, then
that
in that
as
case, it's acceptable for me. I'm always in a cab.
yes,
Where they
but
is that where red lorry, yellow lorry comes from?
absolute top notch. I'll tell you what, this has died out. This has gone terribly Magic FM.
Yeah.
But this is completely, not that that's a bad thing.
Don't you hate wasps in the summer?
Yeah.
Hey, Simply Red.
You know that thing when you can't bend down? I put up a swing with Adrian Chiles yesterday.
Oh, I love that
interesting
Samuel.
party.
I love that Samuel Beckett play.
Yeah, it was like that.
Was
Because-
it?
Well, I'm not a man who has tools.
Yes. You don't strike me as a tools type.
No, I
if you
don't have
mind me
tools.
saying.
I have the phone numbers of people who have tools.
So you did a trampoline last week
Yeah,
and a swing this week.
exactly. But this one, it's one of these. I think if it comes in a box, it should comprise everything. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oh,
And then it
absolutely.
says, "Oh, you'll need some box spanners or something of that. Box wrench." Anyway, it had words. Workman like words involved. And obviously I don't have any of those things. I have a pink toolbox which I bought Kath many years ago as a sort of ladies' tools.
Was Adrian your work?
Can I say that sounds more suited? That they're tools. They are
Absolutely
proper.
disgusting.
No, they're proper tools.
Ladies' tools.
They're proper tools. Yes.
Did it come in an unmarked box?
They're just for keeping the garden in order. No, so. No,
Did the receipt have something very vague on it?
They're proper tools, but they are.
I've got phone numbers for her, by the way.
They're acknowledging the fact that, you know, it's not just men now that do DIY. So it was a good gift. Anyway, so I was short on tools. So Kat said to me, why don't you phone David Baddiel? Because Dave just lives in my road.
Can I tell you that's one of the worst suggestions she's ever made?
I know, and I said...
As if he's going to have tools.
I said, he won't have tools. And she said, no, he's been here a long time, he will have acquired tools. So, just to show how unlikely it was, I found David Baddiel. Not only did he not have any tools, but he was in Paris. And that's what I would have expected.
He had a Victorian novella about tools.
Yeah. He was also slightly... he said, why would I have tools? It's really like he was a bit insulted.
Did you say he lives in your road? Has he fallen on
Yes.
hard times?
No, he doesn't literally live in the road. God, no, it's swilling with urine, my road, you can imagine.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Adrian Charles was your next port of call.
Though Adrian was already there,
Where were his tools?
he was visiting, and I said, you wouldn't help me put the swing up. The thing is with the swing, I said to Boz, I've got a late birthday present because it was his birthday last Saturday. What I didn't tell him was that I bought it for his previous birthday. It's been in what I like to call the front room for over a year,
Yes.
with me thinking I must put that up one day. So, in fact, I bought an additional baby seat, which I'm afraid I missed the window to use that baby seat.
Has he outgrown it?
He's outgrown it. So if anyone's in the market for a brand new untouched baby seat swing,
It might be a
swing
good
baby seat.
weight loss inspiration for me. Yeah, shove it my way.
It'll be snug. We
How
might
dare
never get
you.
there about it. I
You'd
think
need an absolute cushion.
in the end, you might have to wear it as sort of chain-laden pants. But so yeah, we sweated over that swing for about 3 hours. It was looking to get dark. We were still at it, and there's
It's a very strange Brokeback Mountain sequel, you and Adrian.
It's a very bonding thing. We ended up, there was one big screw thing that needed turning, and I just hadn't got a screwdriver that was up to it.
Shirts off?
We ended up using
Shirts off, shirts on.
very much shirts on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I took my hooded top off at one point.
Ooh.
But then I put it back on.
Who's the alpha in that scenario?
Oh, it's very much Adrian. He's incredibly alpha. He arrived on a motorbike, for goodness sake.
Yeah, but as you pointed out in the past, there's been more Wallace and Gromit with you two.
Yeah, well, exactly. But anyway, so we ended up tightening this thing with my tea strainer. That was the only tool I could get to work with it. So we ended up sweating over a tea strainer, which is not something you do every day of the week. But it was
I love that you have the temerity to call it a tool, even.
Well, exactly.
Your neighbours would have thought you were doing some sort of Black Country tribute to the Chuckle Brothers.
Yeah,
Can you imagine?
maybe.
All right, Frank, pass it over here. Another tea strainer, mate. Anyway, yeah, back in a bit.
There was a lovely moment when he said to me, he said, if I ever do... I'm now doing an impression of my
I
own
do a
accent,
better
Wallace.
impression.
He said, if I ever do Room 101 again, I'm going to put Bending Down in it.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Well, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Steve Hall. Do you go for Steve or Stephen?
Steve, usually.
Okay, Steve it is. Text the show on 81215 if you please. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio if it suits you. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website at your leisure. Okay.
So Frank, what a wonderful week it's been for football.
Yes.
It's been a stellar week. I'm just we want to be
So
the
one of
first,
it, five
the
live,
first
isn't
on
it?
Absolute Radio to say well done, Sepp Blatter. Congratulations.
Congratulations, yeah.
I hope he reigns for 1,000 years.
I quite like him.
How old is he? 79.
79, yes.
Well, I suppose with your modern technology, if he was on ice. Yes, it's great news.
What about when he said we need women, we need ladies? Oh, I love. Did you hear his speech?
That was my slogan.
That was your slogan in the 90s.
I resent that.
I saw his rambling, incoherent acceptance speech.
Well, you know, when you're 79, I think there's a lot of ageism around Sepp.
Yeah. He said, I will be in command of this boat of FIFA. I think that's
And
okay.
then described dragging it onto a beach and something about beach football.
I'll tell you what I've never forgiven, though, FIFA, is that they wouldn't have took much wiggling with the letters and the initials to have suddenly have a global organisation called FIFA. And wouldn't that have been great?
Yeah.
You couldn't talk about corruption in FIFA, could you? It's just it's too cuddly. Everyone would love FIFA if they just thought ahead.
Maybe they could rebrand it and that'll solve their problems.
Well, they might have to do something of that nature soon. But, you know, I don't think it's the most upsetting election result I've been confronted by in recent times.
Lovely.
Well, when it comes down to it, Sepp, you hear things said about him, but could any of us really put our finger on anything he's done wrong, other than seem a bit smarmy?
I have. That's the.
I don't know if we're in a position to, Frank, in fairness. We're not leading an
I'm just
investigation
saying,
into him.
No one is. He's all right.
Because it all
I'm
happens
starting to think
on-
he might be all right. You know, you can be led against people like Mugabe. No, I think he might not be. But we don't know, do we?
Well,
We
that's
might
the-
be led
because it
against him.
happens
We don't
on
know about
levels of-
Mugabe.
Well, I don't know. Name one Mugabe crime. That's today's texting. No, it isn't. Please don't send him Mugabe crime. I'll take your word for it on Mugabe.
Why am I working on a show where someone says, please don't send him Mugabe crimes?
Because
This is awful.
would you rather be working on a show where they said, please do send him Mugabe? Mugabe crimes can.
I tell you what, Sepp Blatter, great name though. Sepp, great name. How could you not fancy someone called Sepp?
Well, that's one of those things that certain puns that Frank has done on different shows going back 20
Certain
years.
puns.
Various puns involving Sepp Blatter.
Oh, I don't remember any of them.
There was something to do with his stepladder.
Oh, okay.
That was one.
Sepp Blatter's stepladder.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, God. Thank you for being... Steve is actually my archivist.
Yeah. And another one that we can't really say on the radio about
Microfiche.
what Sepp Blatter's sister was called.
That worries me.
It was on fantasy football.
That sounds
Okay.
absolutely horrible, and I want
Yes.
you to stay away from that.
Absolutely horrible is the other station that I'm opening. No, but I'm
Someone
just
has
saying...
texted us 178 and said, I always think Seth Blatter from FIFA. Seth, that's an interesting...
That was it. I
yeah.
think people would like him if he was called Seth.
Yeah, sounds like a character from the cantina scene in Star Wars.
Seth Blatter. I'd like to see him in the corner of there, talking about grassroots.
Sepp and Chewy,
Purple grassroots.
that'd be late night watching for me.
Sepp and Chewy. That could be like... what's that thing they have on BT? Sav and something with Robbie Savage.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember. Well, I'm just putting forward the idea that we don't have anything hard and fast on Sepp. Maybe he's all right. Maybe the media have led us against him because he won't let us have the World Cup.
It's unlike you to take a contrary position about a controversial figure in the news.
What worries me is all the little countries really, really like him, and all the big countries say he's a corrupt villain. That's always a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Yeah, but you always side with the person in trouble, don't you?
Sepp Blatter, the voice of the underdog.
What do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean in trouble? He's just won the election. He's on the crest of a wave.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
We've had some news in on the Mugabe crimes.
Did we? Why do I say these things?
This is from
Is that the name of Jonathan?
715.
That's Jonathan Ross's autobiography, isn't it? Why do I
Yes.
say these things?
Yeah.
Coincidence.
Gregor in
That was a
Lewisham.
plug he wasn't expecting. Gregor in
Gregor in
Lewisham.
Lewisham. Morning, guys and gals. Just Googled Mugabe crimes because I didn't know the answer. Not because I couldn't remember any. It
Okay.
took Google 0.44 seconds to come up with 446,000 instances.
Okay.
There you go, Frank.
It's going to be
That
a
enough
long...
for you?
I don't know if we'll get them all in today's show. We might have to do a one-off poddy.
Poddy.
OK, I'm acknowledging that he's a bad guy. I think the jury's still out on Sepp. In fact, the jury's not even in on Sepp. Sepp is not under investigation, as I understand it.
No, I believe not.
Yeah, well,
He's an innocent man.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there are things
He beat Prince Ali. That was the name of the guy who was also running.
Sorry, I thought you said Prince Ali. And I thought, what, he's got his own underground printing press with some photocopied magazine called Ali, which is about the dark side of football.
Frankly.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the whole FIFAisation of football, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, I carry a list of FIFA's official World Cup sponsors, which I use as a checklist of things not to buy when I'm in the supermarket. I hate the whole idea that there's an official wet wipes, the official World Cup wet wipes is rubbish. So I hate all that, and but I just wonder if we're all loads of people he's saying is corrupt, and if you put the finger and say, okay, give me some examples, they haven't got a word. I'm sure there will be people.
There seem to have quite a few words.
No, there'll be a few people who do know, but there'll be loads of people saying it who haven't got a clue. I hardly know anything about him, so just trying to rescue an old man. We stick together or slot.
Would you like to see a boycott?
I love that Frank thinks
I always love to see a boycott.
I love a boycott. More of a both than myself. Frank, I like that Frank thinks he's some humanitarian trying to rescue an old man.
I think you have to watch the media, don't just pick on somebody. I want the facts. Wouldn't it be great?
All right, 1953.
He does spread out a lot of money to the small countries. That can't be a bad thing, can it?
Where do you stand on Sepp? Steve?
Well, I sort of... I've always assumed...
I'm winning Steve over, I can tell.
I think you are.
I actually think we should have him canonised. I've been won over now.
I'm sorry, we're not taking him off your hands. Or do you mean blown to pieces by a cannon? I think that if there is corruption...
Yes.
I can honestly say this. If it's found to be corrupt and the World Cup continues and England said, well, we think... because of the corruption involved, we are not going to go to the World Cup. Yeah. I would be more proud than if we won the World Cup.
Would you?
Because that would be such a brilliant stance, saying all the money and all that, we don't need it, we want to do what's right. The chances of that happening
no.
So slender, you could lay them side by side on a pinhead and still have room for a life-size picture of Eric Pickles.
But I love what you said. I found it powerful, and I like the idea of it being sampled and played at the end of one of your football songs.
Yeah. I think that's pretty unlikely. Wouldn't it be great, though, if we said no?
I mean,
the whole thing about moving the World Cup to December, if England just phoned in and said, sorry, we're busy, December, we got like, proper football matches about club sides, which is always more important than international football.
It's like when the guy dumps you and wants you back.
Yeah.
It's football staying home.
I mean, there's always a possibility that we might be staying home anyway, don't get me wrong. Let's
see the spirit, Frank.
Let's see how the qualifying games go. If you get a couple of dodgy results early on, I think we should definitely boycott the World Cup.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
I've just had a phone call from the FA asking me if I'd sing their official "We're Not Going to the World Cup" song. All the money raised will go to the families of people killed during the building of the Qatar stadiums. What about that? It's perfect!
Yeah.
Perfect, I tell you!
Okay, calm down.
Let's make this happen. Can do some good.
You've caused something of a sensation on Twitter. You're being quoted. I'd be prouder if England pulled out of the 2018 World Cup than if England won the 2018 World Cup. Frank Skinner, hashtag FIFAgate, hashtag FA Cup. Rather surreal.
I thought, thank God, I thought you meant the Mugabe thing. Phew.
We've also had a tweet from Stuart Stocking who says, are FIFA sponsored by I Can't Believe It's Not Blatter? I think it's rather fine material.
Isn't that what everyone's saying at these spate of arrests?
Good use of spate.
It is.
I love a spate of cancellations and I love a spate of arrests.
I like a spate of burglaries in the area.
Yes, I do as well.
You betcha. What else is happening football-wise?
Well, possibly even more controversial than FIFA this
I know
week.
what it's going to be. Shirtgate.
Shirtgate.
Oh,
indeed.
I love a Shirtgate.
There are so many things about this story I love. The little kid who had the shirt. So Jermaine Beckford at the playoff final.
8-year-old Ted Dockeray.
Ted Dockeray. What a wonderful name.
Yeah,
It's an
he must be at least 78,
Yeah.
Ted Dockeray.
It feels like you hear stats about him. He played for Accrington Stanley in the 1930s.
In case they don't know this story, Preston North End were playing in a big
Yes.
game, and they won it, and one of the players threw his shirt to this young boy, and then on camera a lady came and took it off the young boy.
31-year-old Vicky Timbrell.
Apparently. And we don't know, but Vicky Timbrell said, when the news comes out, you'll realise I'm not the bad person you think I am, which is a very intriguing thing.
Yes, I love
I'm
Vicky.
thinking maybe that... how old is Ted?
He's at 8, I believe.
I think he's run up maybe massive gambling debts, and she's a local loan shark. And I don't, what could it
So
be?
they've had
I feel
the
sorry for
shirt off
Vicky.
Jermaine Beckford's back.
We should say,
Yes.
so she was seen snatching it. You could see her taking it off him. She has turned into this year's Mary Bale.
She
hasn't
has,
she?
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Mary
Yeah.
Ban, in case you don't know, put the cat in the wheelie bin.
Cat and bin woman, yeah. And we need one every year, a Mary Bale figure. Wouldn't you say? That's
Well,
Vicky's role.
But I like the idea that when we find out the detail, maybe she's
Yes.
a local laundress. And she said,
Yes.
I'll give that a rinse
You
for
are the defender of lost causes today.
Today.
Well, what? It's intriguing, though, isn't it? When people know the facts, they won't hate me anymore.
But she's doing it almost like that's the sort of advert where they have, like, when someone's selling their life story to a tabloid.
Yes.
They sort of turn to the camera going, you'll find out about the real me.
Yes. Well, because in the old days she would have sold her story.
Yeah.
She says, people have made me out to be an absolute idiot. That's on my business card. Absolute idiot.
I don't know if I don't know. Idiot is what they're making her out to be. They're making her out to be a fiend.
Yes.
I would say.
It's quite a lot of fuss, because the kid would be wearing a T-shirt with Virgin Trains written on it, because that's the
Yes.
sponsor, which is a slightly worrying thing.
Is that bad?
Virgin Trains, you could have that if you were David Luiz and you were training, if the allegations about him are correct, or a novice nun.
Oh, I see.
Could say Virgin Trains.
I see where you're coming from, you rascal, with
hate
your
it.
wordplay.
Don't tussle over football
No.
shirts, though. It's embarrassing.
Is it?
I've got Stuart Broad's cricket bat. I've got that fair and square. There's much easier ways.
Well, that's
You
pretty.
grabbed
is
that off a
pretty impressive.
7-year-old, I seem to remember.
I got it off Stuart Broad directly, thank you.
I've got Mugabe's sombrero from. We watched the Mexican World Cup together in a bar in Bournemouth. No, I made all that up. I don't have
Hashtag
that.
FA Cup.
I don't want P. Exactly. It seems to fit.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Yeah, so what do you think about the shirt? Do you think it's...
I like the club getting involved, Frank, as well, because they did what these football clubs always do, which is they said, if the youngster would like a stadium tour, we'd be happy to arrange this, the youngster.
Well, Jamie Beckford, to be fair, also has given... Jermaine Beckford has given him another shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not the shirt
It's not
he
the
played.
same.
Exactly.
It's not the
Yeah.
shirt he played in the big game. I mean, that's the trouble.
Oh.
That's the
You
trouble.
want
Wonder
the
if
sweat,
do you
don't
reckon
you?
if that kid did turn up for the stadium tour, and then Ms. Timbrell just turns up, just pushes him out of the way as he's
Oh, yeah,
queuing
she
up.
has that. I don't know if they'd give her the tour just because she pushed him out of the way.
Can I like the fact that you were still respectful and politically correct and referred to her as Ms. Timbrell?
Or
Like
was
a
it that you
barrister.
couldn't remember her first name?
Little bit of both.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's Vicky, FYI.
My problem with this, Preston North End, which are a great club with a great history, did use one of the phrases I used to identify terrible people in their statement.
Which is what?
They said that no representatives of the club, no one connected with Preston North End was involved in the incident in any way, shape or form.
That's your worst thing ever, Frank.
Oh, now that, to me, that's worse than anything FIFA have been accused of this week, to say
Yeah.
in any way, shape or form.
If Sepp had said that,
I'm trying to
that
stamp
would have
that
been the
out.
end.
Yeah, I don't think even Sepp would say that. In any way, shape or form. Can't hear him say it. Can't even hear him saying it.
Would Mugabe say it?
I'm not doing the voice. Don't lead me into it.
It's been 6 great years.
I know, exactly.
Come on.
I don't want to bring it all down with a Mugabe impression. I haven't got it. What was that distance between mouth and nose that we...
Oh, the fulcrum.
The fulcrum, is it? He's one of those men with a great distance between the bottom of his nose.
I believe it's called the fulcrum, isn't it, that area?
I only know there was an advert where someone asked it, and I think it was... I thought it was Philtrum, not Fultrum.
Philtrum. I do apologise, Philtrum.
It looks like it's a volleyball court filmed from above his upper lip.
Well, it looks like there should be a moustache there, and it should be...
Oh, I think there is a tiny moustache.
I feel like there should be a big lustrous one.
No, because Frank famously sung Robert Mugabe's Philtrum to the tune of, Frank?
What was it?
Robert De Niro's Waiting.
Oh, yes, that's right, Robert Mugabe's Philtrum. With the moustache forms a sort of a carpet, like a little layer of carpet at the bottom of the upper lip.
I suppose it's John Major had a similar Philtrum.
No, John Major's was made of flesh.
Exactly. Get your Philtrums right, for goodness sake. No, sorry, I thought you meant the moustache. No, he had a sort of a moustache made from flesh. It looked like they'd built a dais on his top lip, ready for the I'll tell you what he looked like. He looked like he'd had cheap surgery.
He looked like he'd put down the underfelt, but never got round to the carpet.
I've got a memory of David Baddiel describing it as looking like if you'd been staring at a moustache-shaped light bulb.
Yes.
And then you looked at his face.
May have been Rob Newman who said that.
Really?
Yeah, that's another texting.
Welcome to 1996, everyone.
Yes, I love it when we do our topical material. John Major's moustache.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
We've just had some clarification on the tweets from Darren Kilgariff. Who says that the Ted Dockeray, the shirt that he received from Jermaine Beckford was the shirt that Beckford was wearing in the first half.
Oh, because it was one of those spare shirt things.
Yeah.
And, I've heard of a few players who change at half time.
Oh, yes.
Because it gets a bit muddy.
Yes, I believe that as well.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Oh, come on.
I don't.
No, you can't say that.
Okay.
Dear old Jermaine Beckford has cared for this child.
Who you called Jamie Beckford earlier.
Yeah, but, what's in a name? A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Thank you.
That's the perfect rejoinder to it, if you just quote Shakespeare.
Very handy, the bard. Very handy.
Thank you to the police. I tell you what I like this week. Did ye see Prince William being interviewed by my pal Gary Lineker?
Villa fan, Prince William.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is it with Prince William and David Cameron?
All the poshens. Well, I think they think it's safe.
They're regularly vilified.
Do they? They should try going there when they play the Albion. I didn't feel particularly safe.
He sort of illustrated, and I've got to be honest, he did show that it can be a bit embarrassing when posh people get into football.
What did he illustrate?
Well, I'll tell you what he did. He illustrated...
For a minute you were going to say the Gruffalo. That would have been quite a thing to reveal.
He illustrated, for me, just... sometimes it's just a bit incongruous. It doesn't work when posh people support football.
No.
Because he said things like, the way he talked about it, first of all, he referred to the missus. Because he was talking about football. He said, well, we'll see if the missus will let me go. We'll have to run it past the missus first.
Yes.
As if he'd ever say that about anything else.
But not only that, not only does he not call her the missus, but he doesn't run things by her.
Yeah.
Because if she didn't want him to go, he could have her incarcerated.
He also said another thing. Well, I've had plenty of Gunner fans coming up to me.
That's the
Gunner
most,
fans! Come on, it's awful.
In an
Gunner
interview
fans.
with many painful things, that was the most painful. Just it was toe curling. The use of
Don't criticise the interview, please.
Oh no, the interviewer was fantastic.
Thank you.
The person being
Thank
interviewed.
you. I've worked hard at that friendship.
A lot of the Brummy guys.
Yes. He also said people have been coming up to me. You don't come up to Prince William, do you? Aren't you shot if you come up to Prince William? When do they come up to him? When is it the big... I'm picturing him in a biscuit factory with one of those white elasticated hats on, and one of the workers saying, oh, you're going to get it on there. Also, if a man uses the word goners and saying you're going to get it on Saturday, they'd definitely be shocked. Be one of those blokes with the curly things coming out their ear, and I don't mean a blackhead, and would take him out.
Don't say things like that. It's disgusting.
He said the reason he supported Villa was that he wanted to be different to his mates, and you ought to say, as if being the heir to the throne doesn't already mark you out as different.
Well,
enough.
you don't know his mates. Probably doesn't make you all that different.
Yeah.
But why it could have been worse. He could have gone for the Wolves.
I'd like to see him join in the chants. That'd be just him trying to join in. King when you're Windsor, you're only king when you're Windsor.
He's back. Hall's back.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
Shall we go to email corner?
Let's.
For old time. Here we go.
Let's saunter.
Okay, we're going. Come on, baby. Hoo-yah. You like that, huh?
I hate it when you say that.
I know. I hate it when I say it, and I'm saying it. So, what do we got in the corner?
I'd like to start, Frank, and I know this will disappoint you, but it's an email exclusively concerning you.
Okay.
Dear Frank M., the cockadoodle-doo. Apologies, Wikistevia. Can't even get your name right. Long-time reader. First-time writer. I've just finished watching this week's Have I Got News For You? And hugely enjoyed it. Well done, Frank.
Oh, so last week,
I do apologise,
okay,
yes.
Good.
Praise included, only to make up for sartorial comments, which follow.
Okay.
OMG. Was just wondering if we could hear M's thoughts on Frank's shirt-tie combo. My first thoughts were, he can't have much faith in his material.
Oh, that one.
Keep up the good work, team. That is from Dan.
I was tipped off that this email was going to come up today, so I've actually worn the shirt in question.
By me, who values my job.
Well, I like to
Frankly,
give you,
let's be honest.
I like to give you a visual aid.
Yeah.
So here it is, and I know this programme more than any other on radio values its social media connections. So maybe we can put this out so people can use it as a reference when they listen back.
Yes.
I should describe the shirt.
Oh, I should describe it.
Well, can I tell you, you might not be able to see the fine detail. It includes flowers, peacocks, and an ornamental bandstand.
Shut up.
It does. I'll show you the bandstand. I'm going to stand now, so if I sound a long way away, it's because...
Do you know what, Frank? It's like the Radio Times. There's so much in it.
Frank is showing us his bandstand.
There is a bandstand. It's a bit
Goodness me,
chinoiserie.
there is.
There's a bandstand, Sans Band.
Such fine detail.
It's a bit chinoiserie.
It is a bit... there's an element of chinois about it.
The reader should know, to balance it out, you're drinking from a pinstripe teacup.
Yes.
It's a statement. I
don't feel we're helping Steve today. We're making him anxious.
It's a statement shirt. Well, I think it's fair to say it's bold, strong and fierce.
Yes. What a great solicitors they were.
Do you want to hear some of the reviews on Twitter, or would you rather not? Was Frank watching
the shirt?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't mind that.
Was Frank watching The Sound of Music and inspired to make his own shirt?
What I like about that is the inner knowledge of The Sound of Music and the whole Curtains Kids thing.
Yes.
We're going to have to go to the various things, but I'd like to come back. That's really warmed me. The fact that people trust me that I'll get that reference makes me feel proud.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio Webby.
Prior to that comfort break, we were discussing your shirt.
Me shirt.
Yes, on Have I Got News. I'd received some tweets about it during the week. Someone, as we previously discussed, had wondered whether you'd been inspired by The Sound of Music. Mm-hmm. Someone else said Frank's shirt should have his own show.
Yeah, okay.
Is Frank wearing my parents' wallpaper?
Okay.
Can anybody answer the question of a generation? Where did Frank Skinner get his shirt from?
Do you think that's pro? It isn't pro, is it? There doesn't seem to be any pro shirt
I
stuff.
think that's fine. That's fairly pro. I think it's.
Frank Shirt should have his own show, is pro.
Yeah.
The problem with the written word is summed up there. It could be. Does anyone know where Frank Skinner got his shirt from? I'd like to get that. God, does anyone know where Frank Skinner got his shirt from? So difficult, isn't it? As I've suggested before, bracket, stage directions, sarcastically. Does anyone know where... That's what we need.
Well, your shirt has become the equivalent of Liz Hurley's That Dress.
Yeah, that shirt.
People will still be talking about it in years to come.
There'll be a song called Peacock on a Bandstand, I know. Sorry?
I think you should wear that shirt with pride, Big Daddy.
Well, I am wearing it today. It isn't Pride today, but I probably should.
It would go down very well.
It probably would work.
Watching it on my telly, I didn't know that it was quite so floral. I thought it was kind of...
Sounds a little negative.
I thought it seemed inspired by Mr. Orange and Reservoir Dogs. It was kind of slightly... I didn't know it was flowers. I'm not saying it was blood-stained. I didn't think you'd had some dust up with the producer before the show. But now that I can see the detail in real life...
Aren't you glad I wore it today?
It's very beautiful.
And spring florals.
Well, by the way, bandstands.
Yes.
You know, there was a big surge in amongst football clubs in recent years about football stadiums. It's such a shame they're only used on a Saturday, you know, because it's there the rest of the week. We could be making money out of it. Bandstands, so often. How often do you see a band in a bandstand? Almost never. I'd like to, if any of our readers have seen bandstands used for other, more other things, that'd be good. I mean, keep it clean.
Text in along with the Robert Mugabe.
Yeah, they're mainly used for teenagers drinking cider. That seems to be the main use.
But that's all right.
It's multi-purpose for the community.
It's an important part in one's development.
I love a bandstand, me. Lovely piece of architecture.
Yeah, but they are a bit wasted, aren't they? That lovely floor and the dais.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Why couldn't you just do, like, stand-up gigs in a bandstand?
Steve, if we could get... We'll get up a night.
Yeah.
If anyone knows any bandstands.
Oh, there used to be one in every park, but of course you can't get the bands now.
I don't even need the bandstand. I can just talk incoherently in a park.
Yeah, well, we've all done that. The teenagers drinking cider, for example. Can I let you into a little behind-the-scenes thing? I didn't start, have I got news for you, with that shirt. I was on my way to makeup. I was given I chose a green shirt with green tie, sort of Simon D sort of idea. And it was... Do
you know what I like? Sorry, this is like someone discussing their Oscar dress. Well, I was going to wear the Ralph Lauren.
Yes. Well, what happened is... you get to an age where the word slim fit on a label can strike fear into your heart. And I carried on, I battled on, I thought, no, it'll be fine. And I put it on and I felt like I'd been gripped.
Oh, fine.
You know, the buttons looked like they were being sucked down a manhole. Because, they were just holding on to the very edges of the buttonholes. And I thought, there's no room for laughter in this shirt. And so it was a last-minute change, and my goodness me, if it hasn't changed my life.
Where can people get the shirt?
I don't know. I don't even know what make it is.
Hawes and Curtis.
Yes, Hawes and Curtis.
Hawes and Curtis.
Can I say Hawes, FYI?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yes, we don't want to spread any talk, any of that manner of talk. So that's that. I was going to say something else, I just lost interest.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
We've had a very strong response to the bandstand question.
Really?
From the readers.
This could be very enlightening. I'm looking forward to
this. Is sort of a mini tour of our aisles. 467 saw a Teenage Fan Club and Squeeze at Kelvin Grove Park Bandstand in Glasgow.
Wow.
Giles in Guildford recommends the bandstand at Godalming every Sunday. Godalming, I do apologise. Every Sunday during spring and summer. Excellent fun and free, he says.
But what happens there?
That's Giles and Guildford.
What happens in the bandstand?
There's I think just free music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have a band, yes.
So they're broadening the concept of the word band. It's not just brass.
Well, I'll tell you
anymore.
what happens, because... now it's disappeared. What's happened to my text? Nikki of Purley says, Dear Frank, I've never seen a band in a bandstand, but my friend Rachel and I used to regularly pretend we were AC/DC. in the bandstand.
In the band? Okay.
In Brenchley Gardens in Maidstone.
How lovely.
That's great.
Strange band to pretend to be.
Yeah. I suppose if you're in a school uniform,
that's true.
You're halfway there.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad they're being used. It's never occurred to me, foolishly, that you could put another type of band in a bandstand.
A lot of people have been using it for videos, pretending to be bands. That's essentially what they appear to be used for now.
Pretending to be brass bands?
No, pretending to be pop bands doing videos.
Oh, I see. Well, there you go, you see. What a marvellous mine of information our readers are. Any more bandstand stuff? I recently filmed in one, come to think of it, with the poet and comedian Tim Key. It was a task in which we had to... should I give this away? I think it'd be fine. We had to make a bed in a record time. I mean, you know, I wanted to make one with hammer and nails, but do it like you do in a hotel.
Oh, right, you didn't need to get Adrian down with his tools.
No. He doesn't have any tools. Well, he probably does have tools at home, but he's all right with a tea strainer. Okay, what else what's occurring?
I'll tell you what I want to talk about. Louis. I love a bit of Walsh.
Oh, yes.
Walsh.
I'm a Walsh fan.
Yes.
I tell you what I particularly love about Louis' work this week. So he's left X Factor. I say left. He's been given the boot.
Well, he said, I've flat out left.
Well, I love that. Normally they do this whole thing, don't they? What is it they say, Frank? I'm spending more time with my family, or left to pursue other TV opportunities.
Yes, I got other projects.
Not Louis.
Yeah, well, exactly. But
he says I flat out left, which is beautifully aggressive.
Yes, but he does say I flat out left, not I flat out been fired. I'm not saying he has been fired.
No, that's true.
But I'm wondering if I flat out left is a bit like the way Cheryl Cole flat out left American X Factor.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Because he's left.
Or the way Ed Miliband flat out left the Labour Party.
Well, he hasn't left the Labour Party, as far as I've heard.
I'm not going back to the show. Absolutely gone, he says.
Yes, but again, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It's like if Alan Sugar said to someone, "You flat out left." It still means they've been fired.
Well, it makes it sound like this. His quote only makes sense to me if I'm imagining that he's drunk. As he says it, that it makes it. He's got my job. He's left. I'm not going back to that.
Yeah. That's not a bad impression of Louis was, to be fair.
I like what he said. Well, we should say the reason for this is because Grimmers, your friend Grimmers, Nick Grimshaw.
Mr. Grimshaw? Yes.
It's been suggested that he will be replacing Louis.
Well, it hasn't been suggested. Louis has leaked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Louis leaked, and not for the first time.
I hate it when Louis leaks.
Louis leaks.
He says, I don't think he realises the hard work he has to put in, though.
Yes.
Oh.
He did say that. But he said sometimes we have to work 3 or 4 days a week. This is a bloke who really doesn't understand the phrase flat out. People must read that and think, hold on a minute, that's working really hard 3 or 4. Not only 3 or 4 days a week, but one of the days he's sitting watching a show.
He says you don't just show up. Which is the opposite of this show, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I never would call this show hard work. He doesn't realise the hard work. There isn't any.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
More bandstand love coming in from the readers. Broadstairs bandstand gets a shout out from Louise in Romford.
What does she say about it?
She says it will often have a band performing.
Oh.
And singers and dancers as well. Lovely way to pass a couple of hours in the afternoon.
How beautiful. Well, I was wrong about them. I thought they were finished, the bandstands, but it turns out they're back.
And someone who's not identified themselves has said that they've seen an ABBA tribute night at their local bandstand in Eastbourne, and they also do Gilbert and Sullivan.
Broadstairs bandstand. That's what they should use as their...
This has gone quite local radio, and I quite like it.
So anyway, Louis...
Oh, back to Louis. Everyone back to Louis. I bet that's been said a few times.
I think Louis' problem... I mean, for him to be replaced by... Mr. Grimshaw it's that thing, isn't it, when you get to a certain age in telly. It's the old TV age.
That's what I love about radio.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is where they come, that's the trouble.
This is where we come.
We are the lifeboat sailing past their sinking ship. Do we give them a hand on or not?
The bleakest bit of the Louis story was the fact that the key quote from the article was, "Speaking to the Daily Star, Louis Walsh said all this."
Yes.
And that's the bit I found most upsetting.
You know what? I bet that's not the bleakest bit of Louis' story.
I think the Daily Star is probably what they call the winner of X Factor.
Why does Cat Simone, who is... I'm a fan of Simone's.
Simone Cowell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm almost going as far as to say he'd be a friend of the show. However, he doesn't seem to do a very wide trawl, does he, for replacement hosts?
Well, Louis...
He just picked... Because Robbie Williams is the other person who they're saying is going to sit in the judge's chair.
Oh, no, surely not.
Judges' houses.
He's too big, isn't he, for it? I don't mean he's too big. No, I mean...
What, you think he's... the gig is not sufficiently
he's still
for him?
He's still a massive star, isn't he?
So is G. Barlow.
I'd imagine he's too self-aware to do it. Robbie Williams would know it's probably a bad move.
For me, if I had the choice, it'd be White D. Because as a mentor of the X Factor contestants, long term, knowing your way around the benefit system would be a bigger help to them than any kind of pop knowledge, I would say.
That would make an interesting...
What about White D?
Judges' houses would be interesting.
I'm going... White D and Maureen from driving school. Oh, can you imagine, Frank?
It's what I call the dream ticket. I think what Louis needed, I could rescue him at the last minute with stable door television.
Yes,
he looks all right from the waist down.
Yeah.
It's very difficult on telly when you start.
And Cal looks all right from the waist up.
What about until you get to the hair?
What, the black shredded wheat, as you call it?
Yeah. I think...
no, but he's better than the waist down. That's where all his issues are.
But you know what I mean? The human face, when you get... I mean, he's 62. When you get over 50...
Cal?
No, Louis.
Okay.
The human face is not pleasant to look at on television after about 50.
Really?
It isn't. I mean,
what about you?
Well, that's why I wear a garish shirt to take the attention away. That's all he needs, Louis. So that he's been led into the white shirt thing by Cal. It's not good at his age. Looks like Yoda looking over a pile of laundry.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had a text, Frank, from 851. I think missing the point in a charming manner, correcting you. It simply says, it's Mr. Grimsdale.
Oh, yes. Because whenever Nick Grimshaw is mentioned, I say, Mr. Grimshaw, which I do know it's Mr. Grimsdale.
Yes.
It's what Norman Wisdom used to say. Yes. But,
that was a sort of officious,
no, well, I think
superior.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I knew that. But thanks anyway. I love it that people join in. That's what I like.
We've also had an email from someone who's written books on bandstands.
Wowee.
He said,
books in the plural.
I am an author on the only 2 books on bandstands and have 2 websites dedicated to them, one of which is bookabandstand.com. Okay. So his name's Paul Rabbits.
I bet he does. Do you know Paul Rabbit?
No, but thanks for the tips, Steve.
Okay. Well, I'll look those up, Paul. Well done for writing about bandstand.
Yeah.
I feel there could be a documentary on BBC4 in it.
No, there won't.
Okay. Sorry, apparently I was wrong about that.
I think I missed my calling as a commissioning editor.
Yeah, that was the commissioning process. very
much easier if they did that. Instead of saying, actually, yeah, maybe I'll...
Call me.
Just say, no, they won't.
Actually, nah. That'll be...
Oh, yeah. Steve, I feel we haven't heard enough about you this morning.
No.
What's been going on in your life?
It's all been about me and you.
Yeah.
I had a weird experience this week that I was wondering if the two of you have had this, where if you get...
I'm on edge. Are you on edge?
Yeah.
If you get...
Well, I've told him not to do that to me.
I was pocket dialed by someone.
Love a pocket dial.
I love a pocket dial. And it had happened quite early in the morning, so I hadn't answered it just because I was very bleary-eyed.
Should we explain in case anyone doesn't know what a pocket dial is? This is like when you get a phone call. I got one from David Baddiel this week.
In Paris? Did you hear?
Yeah. When someone accidentally presses a button on their phone, often with their buttock.
Yeah, so...
and then you get I never ever listen to the message.
Oh, that's very honourable.
Because I don't want to hear any bad stuff.
Ah.
It's like I don't look at the text on this show.
Can I say, I always hear the entire message right through to the end.
Really?
And I have to endure click-clacking of high heels and car doors being shut, just so in the hope that in the last 30 seconds they'll say, isn't Emily Dean awful? Because that's what I want to hear.
Dead time is rarely so suspenseful.
I know.
Where it's just existential nothingness for 4 minutes, but something juicy might happen.
No, I don't.
Try listening to this show.
I really don't want to know. In fact, if there's anyone who's left a message on my answer phone deliberately and whose voice is sort of... that's the way they talk normally. I apologise for not getting back to you, but I've cut you off.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
Steve, what are you pocket dialing?
Talking about pocket dialing, and this particular pocket dial this week was from someone at our management. And so I was particularly tantalised listening to the voicemail they left, hoping that it was going to say something like, I eat people like you for breakfast, worm. He doesn't get out of bed for less than 10 Gs.
Yeah.
And as it was him talking to his son about going to the zoo. So
you listened to the whole thing?
No, I felt too guilty. I was thinking...
No, I'm sorry, you retracted that as soon as Frank said that. I think you did listen to the whole thing, Steve.
The guilt kicked in about 90... I listened to about 90% of it before the guilt
I
kicked
was
in.
right. I told you.
I buckled under questioning.
I do a thing regularly. It's if I'm walking down a corridor or whatever and there's someone who knows me, in 2 or 3 people or couple of people, I always say, don't slag me off, I'm behind you. I always do that. I just don't want it in my life.
Can I be honest? Every time I've gone for a comfort break doing this show and I've come back into the studio, every single occasion I've assumed you're talking about me. And I'm very disappointed if you're not.
That's
the most suspicious
that's a revelation
thing,
after 6.5 years on the air.
I suffer from paranoia. And if one of you says something like, oh, I like your jumper, I'm even more suspicious. Why would you suddenly be saying that?
Oh, I see. So we've been saying something bad. And I say, look, Steve, when she comes in, I'm going straight to jumper. Don't look shocked. Yes. Well, you're very wrong.
Okay.
Very wrong.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of anything, if ever there's anything close to that
No, I don't
happened. It's happened a lot of times. I admit, no, it hasn't. It really hasn't. One thing I love about this team is I have done my best to stop backbiting.
No, do you know how you've avoided that?
Go on.
You do it entirely in front of our faces.
Exactly.
I prefer
that's much healthier.
Genuinely.
Most of my dialogue with people is a sort of pocket dial. It's what they want from a pocket dial. I give it to them. Give the people what they want.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
But why do you want to hear bad stuff about yourself?
I think it's that the fascination of the abomination type thing.
Are you rapping?
I'm quoting Joseph Conrad.
It sounded more like Buster Rhymes the way you did it.
There's quite a lot of crossover in their work.
Yes.
I relate to that, Steve. I'd feel temporarily drunk with power.
Because you knew?
Yes.
But what do you do with that information? That's what, once you've heard someone...
I'd get drunk with vodka afterwards. I'd be so depressed.
But sometimes it can just be quite beautiful. My favourite one I ever heard was a promoter whose gig I'd just done that night, pocket dialed me, and he was walking through snow, so I could hear 4 minutes of trudging through snow, which was incredibly satisfying. Like, listen to a relaxation CD. Then I heard him enter his house, and a voice that I presume was his mother just went, "Where have you been?"
Were you working at the Bates Motel doing this? I'm amazed that you listen to them.
Do you never listen to them?
First of all, it feels like a terrible intrusion, and secondly, I say I don't want no bad stuff in my life.
Hang on, it's not an intrusion. They shouldn't have left you a message.
Well, they haven't done it on purpose.
Your phone.
One of the best ones of these I ever heard is I had a friend.
Oh, here we go. So you did hear it.
It wasn't actually a bomb dial. He's this guy. He's a black guy, and he's a big lad, and he's a bit of a powerhouse. And he went to the toilet, sit down in Sainsbury's, and he was
to the toilet in Sainsbury's.
He's in the cubicle. He was in their toilet, and he heard 2 guys come in, and one of them started telling a racist joke. So he waited a bit, and then he stepped out, and that moment, he said they just looked at him and they both just shrank. And he said, oh, no, hold on, finish your joke. Oh! So it can be fun.
Yeah.
if you're a massive bloke who can take out two men in a public toilet. Anyway, it's a lovely way to end the show, wouldn't you agree? And now, if only we've got some George Michael to play. Thank you, Steve, for joining us. As ever, it's a joy.
Thank you.
And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out!
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.